Okay, a rebuttal was submitted for our prophecy series. One atheist who's not convinced had lots of questions, so let's just jump into it. John Daedalus has basically issued the following rebuttal. He said, I appreciate the effort you put forth into the video. However, there are a few issues, and we'll go through them really quickly here. Oh, here we go. Number one, he said, you would say that this would you say that this is the strongest Quranic passage evidence? The answer is no. So first of all, this is not in the Quran. This is in something called the Hadith, which is a preserved collections of the words and deeds of and actions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is where it is found in. Now, the case for the miraculous nature of Islam is not based on one prophecy, but a several series of prophecies happening one after the other after the other. See, if you just look at it at just one prophecy, it could have been a lucky guess. It could have been a coincidence. It could be a lot of different things. Maybe he borrowed it from another source. These are all hypothetical possibilities. But if you continuously, consecutively give one prophecy after another, after another, after another, now you got to pull back and say, hey, wait a second, what's going on? How are you getting these things right all the time? Go ahead. Why don't you try this at home? See if you can do it. You cannot. You cannot predict things 600 years ago, or you cannot predict something today only for it to come true 600 years ago. That can happen maybe once or twice, something like that. Now, these are just prophecies. We've also have statements in the Quran and the Hadith which agree with modern science, discoveries which we have just learned today, yet these were mentioned in the book 1400 years ago. So it's prophecies and scientifically correct statements which makes the Islam miraculous. But this series is just going to focus on the prophecies. Okay, so he says here, the passage says the hour will not begin until I could find little information as to what they are referring here. What they are referring here is the day of judgment, the very last day before the destruction of the world. What does it mean when it says the hour will begin? Okay, so I explain that. I feel like this could be playing an integral part in determining whether or not this prediction has been fulfilled. Well, not really, because it's saying that before the day of judgment, you're going to see this happen. Now, what's the time span between the two? That information has not been given. I understand that and appreciate that you are passionate about this. So it brings me pain to have to point out to you, but I have personally been far better off as a skeptic in applying his critical thought than I was in my religious belief, and I hope the same for you. Okay, so another question he had here. Okay, let me jump up to, I think I might have jumped down here. Okay, so he says here, it doesn't discuss when exactly this is to occur. Okay, prophecies don't have to. Okay, for example, I'll give you another example of a commonly accepted prophecies. If you just Google, fulfilled prophecies, you'll get this very good article. And again, this will all be in the description of this YouTube video. So you can just click over here. Now, there's a guy named Robert Boyle who actually prophesied organ transplantation. He said the cure of diseases at a distance, or at least by transplantation. Now, did he tell you when? Did he tell you where? No, he didn't give all this information. But other people can readily accept, hey, look, this is prophecies which came true. Now, of course, Robert Boyle was a scientist, and he based his prophecies based on his knowledge of science and mathematics and medicine. So it doesn't discuss how this is to occur. Again, look at all the prophecies on the article I gave you. It doesn't exactly tell you when and where, but nobody has a problem with that. Okay? It doesn't mention, number 3, it doesn't mention Mongols specifically. No, it doesn't have to. The prophecy here, and let me just jump back and explain to you the prophecy which we're talking about here. So in the Hadith, the Prophet Muhammad stated that you will be attacked by a group of people who are Oriental in nature based on their racial features, number 1. Number 2, they're going to have leather shields. And number three, they're going to have, they're going to be horsemen, and they're going to have hairy boots. Well, 600 years after this prophecy, they were attacked by a group of people who matched all four of these descriptions: Oriental, horsemen, and they had hairy boots and leather shields. That actually did happen. So the issue of whether you want to call them Mongols or whatever, that's irrelevant. Let's go on to the fourth point. This prediction, if one could call it that, well, what would you call it? So I think you're just playing with words over here, whether it's a prophecy or a prediction. So I really can't answer that because it seems like you're trying to redefine it to make it something insignificant. But anyway, let's keep going. Many armies, even at the times when this was allegedly written, were wielding shields of leather, training horses. Northern armies especially clad their feet in furry boots of warm and stealth. Okay, I don't know about the leather part, but what I can say, yeah, there were many different types of shields. Of course, there were horsemen, but there were also riders on elephant. There were also people who rode on, who came by ship, who could attack. So yes, you could hypothetically guess, and there are options. Now, when it comes to the shield, you had tin shields, you had metal shields, different types of shields. So there's a probability and a possibility of getting this all wrong. So the point here is, which I will accept, is it's hypothetically possible to guess, okay, maybe the foreign invaders are going to have leather shields. You could perhaps guess that, okay? But can you guess all four of these criteria? Oriental people, horsemen, hairy boots, leather shields. Now that's very difficult, but still, I will agree with you. It's hypothetically possible to do that. But as I said, the case for the miraculous nature is not just based on one prophecy. Hypothetically, you could perhaps guess it and guess it right. But as we are going to see in this prophetic series, it's not just one prophecy. There are several prophecies, so the whole spectrum of lucky guess, coincidence will not be entertained over here. That can't be a lucky guess. You just can't guess it right so many times. And so stick with the series and you'll see what I'm talking about. He said, if the Islamic people were truly the children of Allah, Allah is powerful, then why would he allow the Mongols to invade and murder the Islamic people? So this goes back to the question of why does God allow evil to happen in this world? Well, we could see this as a great test. We also know that in the end, the Mongols were actually converted to Islam. So this might be a different objection, not related to whether this is a prophecy or not. So let's go to the sixth one. Even if the Quran contains actual prophecies, how do you reconcile the others which have not been fulfilled? Well, first of all, this is in the Hadith, not in the Quran. And no one has any problem with prophecies yet to be fulfilled. Okay, that doesn't, the way we look at the prophecies, for example, the advent of the Antichrist, which is soon to come. These are things which we will wait. It doesn't prove or disprove anything if they have not been fulfilled. And then finally it says, even the Quran contains prophecies. How do you reach the conclusion that said that is obtained through a God specifically? As I said, it is through the consistent nature of so many prophecies happening after another. This can't be a coincidence. Are you aware that there are predictions in other religions, prophecies in other religions? This is another question. Yes, it's very possible for prophecies to be in other religions, but it's very few. However, the case for Islam, again, is not just based on prophecy, but as we will see, there's also scientific evidence, and that no religion has ever been able to demonstrate that, where you got prophecies, archaeology, and scientific fact. Again, scientific facts which were just discovered recently, but were mentioned in the Quran. So then he says, if Allah is all-knowing, why would he convey it so ambiguous? Well, I don't think this is ambiguous at all. You just said they're going to have leather shields, hairy boots, horsemen, and they're going to be Oriental people. This is a pretty clear, detailed prophecy. You're going into the nitty-gritty, into the details of it. But like I said, God can do it, can convey his message any way he wishes. So there are actually more prophecies which I will share with you where you have to say, okay, wait a second. This cannot be a guess. This cannot be some kind of coincidence. This is miraculous. In fact, I will send you that one in the next series. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Please let me know. Go ahead and write your comments inside the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as you will be updated with the latest prophecies, as well as any kind of debates or objections, whether it's written or face-to-face, you will be updated. Thank you so much for listening.